Hello everyone. I'm going to today test a rather complex engineering problem, and I'm going to compare the results of ChatGPT 3.5, because I did this over the summer, versus the newest GPT. I like to use O3 Mini for these kinds of problems. I'm going to compare it also to the free version of Claude and DeepSeek R1 and Gemini 2.0. So I'm going to try to see how well it's able to take this complex engineering problem and how accurate it is, and also how quickly it's able to do these calculations. So in a nutshell here, this summer I asked ChatGPT about a rather complex engineering problem where I've got a hybrid heating system for my pool where I have a solar array, and I'm also considering adding a burn barrel to it. And I wanted to just see how much more effective a burn barrel would be in this situation. And also, I had an observed data. So ChatGPT 3.5 told me that if I were to get a good 10 hours of sunlight a day at 90 degrees outside, that it would take me 21 days to raise the temperature of my pool by 10 degrees. I actually observed 17. So I have an observed data that I'm going to have as a comparison point just to see how accurate these engineering numbers are. So a little bit of an experiment here. So again, I have the known data that I've pulled from GPT 3.5. I already put it here in my Excel sheet, so then we can kind of compare how O3 Mini does versus Claude versus DeepSeek and Gemini. So, all right, I've got my prompts here. So essentially what I'm telling GPT is, exactly the details of my system. So I've got a solar system, and also if I add in a burn barrel in series, it's a 55-gallon barrel, that's going to have 200 feet of half-inch copper hose. So I've already asked it some previous questions before about optimal flow rate, stuff like that, to make sure the water's moving through. I have my flow rate at about optimal, so I should be accurately seeing what GPT is telling me. So, all right, these are some of the numbers I've gotten from 3.5. So now in real time, I'm going to pop over to O3 Mini, ask it the same question. Let's see how quick it goes. So it's now, what I like about O3 Mini is that it actually takes the time to tell you all the things that it's thinking about. But again, with this version, it's doing a lot of calculations and it's taking a good amount of time. So I might even pause the video here and make it so I go right back to the answer here. So give me a second, I'm going to pause. All right, so it gave an answer, took about a minute, and, I have to think, 37 seconds, felt like a minute. I have to think that it's doing some more complex math and some more complex reasoning behind the scenes here, so it actually gave me a much more in-depth answer, and actually the answer is significantly different from the one that I originally got from GPT 3.5. It actually feels maybe it's like a little more accurate. So 7.2 is the answer that I got, where before I got 10.7 degrees in one day. So this is a little more realistic of running both the burn barrel and the solar array at the same time. So, all right, I'm going to put in 7.2 here into my chart. And then, all right, I'm going to ask it its follow-up question to find out, just how many days it would take to get it up to temperature without using the burn barrel. And that's one that was super important. So open up the wrong thing there. All right, so here it is. So thank you. So if we just got 10 hours of sunlight and if we just ran solar and not the burn barrel, how long would it take? So I'm going to follow up that question now. Let's see what we get. And I'm going to give it a quick pause again while it's reasoning. All right, I'm back after what felt like a good amount of time because I had to have some back and forth with O3 Mini because of its higher level of reasoning. So it was a little too literal at first, and it just gave me the output of what the solar array that I've made would give, and it was a higher amount. It was like 50 days, where again, my observed was 17. So it's like, all right, there's some other factors involved. So I said, hey, also factor in the energy that the pool itself is gaining from these days of sun and everything. So then it went under ideal conditions of what the pool is also gaining and ended up giving me an answer much lower, which was like 4 days. And I'm like, all right, well, again, that's not accurate. This is ideal conditions. Factor in the fact that we're going to lose heat at night and make this a little more real world and factor in everything. So then it reasoned for another 34 seconds, which again felt like an eternity. And all right, so now we're getting somewhere that's much more accurate. So now they're saying it would take approximately 7 to 10 days. So pretty accurate. I'm going to put in a 10 here. So originally GPT 3.5 thought it would take 21 days. O3 Mini thought it would take 10. And we're at got 170% of the 17. So 70% above is what O3 Mini did. So, all right, let's take these same things over to Claude and DeepSeek and Gemini and see what kind of answers we get. So this should be pretty fun. Give me a sec. All right, so now I'm on Claude. This is the free version. I have no idea what kind of answer I'm going to get here. Claude is not particularly known for its word math and engineering problems, so I'm excited. So I modified the prompt a little bit because, again, GPT had a little bit of previous knowledge of my conversation with it, so I let Claude know what's up. All right, so Claude gave its answer and actually factored in some other things that GPT didn't. An initial pool temperature, that's very important. A 50-degree pool is going to be much easier to warm up than, say, a 75-degree pool. So that might factor into the fact that it's actually saying a little less temperature per day. I have only got a 3.4-degree difference, whereas O3 Mini said 7.2 degrees, GPT 3.5 said 10 degrees. So they're only saying about 3 or 4 degrees per day with this whole array running. And so now I'm going to ask it if I were to remove the heating barrel, if it's just the solar array, how many days it's going to take at 90 degrees to affect 10 degrees of temperature change. All right, so now it's thinking. I said if we were to get 10 good hours of sunlight a day, how many days would it take to heat the pool by 10 degrees just by running the solar array and not the burn barrel? So let's see. All right, it's saying it would take about 7 days to achieve the 10-degree increase in temperature. So this is actually the exact same answer that I just got from, it said 7 to 10 days before. So I'm going to put this on the lower side where it says just 7. And it's actually off the observed by about 142%. So I observed 17 days. So this one, Claude is overestimating the efficiency of this by a good amount here. We're up to 140-degree difference, or 140% difference. So, all right, now the one that's supposedly the best at math, DeepSeek, let's see how that one does with this complex problem. All right, and I am using DeepThink R1, so the latest one, and let's see what we get. Let's see how quick this is. I'm really curious to see. This is my first time really actually using DeepSeek, so I'm curious to see. So it says it's thinking. All right, so it's telling you its thought process, which is pretty cool. But again, it's kind of going slow. It's going step by step, and telling us what it thinks. All right, so I'm going to pause this for the sake of speed, and we will be. All right, I'm resuming this because I'm blown away by the level of thinking in DeepSeek right now. It's pretty much explaining step by step here all of the assumptions that it needs to make to create this calculation. Because again, I didn't give it every factor, so it needs to assume a lot of real world situations. So I'm watching its brain work out this complex engineering problem. It's pretty insane how it's saying but wait, if the user mentioned this or that. It's taking a while. It's taken over a minute to go through here and actually get an answer. But the amount that it's telling us is pretty crazy. So we're hopefully getting to an answer here soon, but it is just stumbling over its own brain on how to figure this out. So this is very cool. And I'll be back when it finally gets an answer. Multiple times now, it's come up with an answer, but then says, hey, this seems high or this seems low. And then it just starts over again, trying to work it out. It's gone on about 2 minutes now of just complex math and engineering, just trying to find what it thinks is the most accurate answer. I'm really kind of blown away by what it's doing right now. I think we're almost getting to an answer. So right here, it says happens over 8 days, which is too slow. Wait, how about we factor in the flow rate? I'm pretty blown away right now by what DeepSeek R1 is doing. And again, we still don't have an answer. It's been about 2 minutes worth of complex calculations. So I'll be back when it finally gives me an answer. It just asked if I'm going through both of these things in series or parallel, because that would matter because of the flow rate and everything. It's crazy how much it's factoring in right now, especially compared to how quickly GPT and Claude came up with what they found to be a definite answer. I'm definitely seeing a mathematical advantage in using DeepSeek. It's finally come to an answer. This is crazy. So let's see, approximately how many days it's saying the solar array and burn barrel, or how much it would affect the temperature change to run for a day. It's factoring everything. This is so crazy. 2.5 degrees. All right, all that. 5 minutes of math later, look at all of this mathematical factoring that it did with assuming factor, details I didn't put in. It thought for a total of 352 seconds. So, geez, what is that? That's it's a little over 5 minutes that it was thinking. And it came up with 2.5 degrees after all that. So this one is saying the least so far, DeepSeek. So, all right, I'm going to ask it its follow-up question, and maybe I'll have an answer 5 minutes later. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to ask just about the solar array, not the burn barrel. How many days would it take to heat the pool by 10 degrees? And again, I observed 17 in the real world. So, all right, it's going to start thinking. I will be back as soon as it's done thinking. And I think I have officially broke DeepSeek. I asked it, what was an easier follow-up question 3 times now, and the answer I've gotten is the server's busy. Please try again later. I think the 5 minutes of math I just made it do might have shut down the whole system, so I'm going to try again later by the end of the video, see if I get a final answer. But until then, let's pop on over to Gemini and see how that's doing with this same query. And again, I'm going to be using the newest Gemini. I'm going to use 2.0 Pro Experimental. So this is the best for complex tasks, and that's what I think this is. So here we go. Let's see how quick Gemini is. A fun, practical heat transfer problem. It's excited about it. So, all right. It's factoring in the assumptions and simplifications, which is great. That's a lot of what DeepSeek did, getting that right away from the top. Now it's doing some calculations. Very good. Ooh, it's moving fast. All right, let's see if it gives me an answer at the end of the day. Results based temperature increase over a 12-hour period would be approximately 0.6 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think that that's accurate, Gemini. Let's put that into here. See, GPT-3.5 thought it was 10 degrees a day, and now Gemini is all the way down at 0.624. I don't think that's accurate. So, all right, Gemini, well, you were quick about it, but I don't think that you gave an accurate answer, whereas I really do think DeepSeek gave the best answer. So, all right, let me pop in its follow-up question and see how that does. All right, 10 hours of sunlight, just the solar array running. How many days would it take? And again, the observed is 17 days, so let's see what it does. It's really fast. Wow, Gemini 2.0 is quick in trying to get this done, but if it's not accurate, what does it matter how fast it is? So, all right, results. It would take 99 days of 10-hour sunlight to raise the pool temperature by 10 degrees using only the solar array. But you know what? I think I'm not factoring in. So hold on. I'm going to ask it to factor in heat gained by the pool itself. All right, so now it's going to refactor that all in. The liner. So now this changes the picture dramatically. Now they're saying that it'll only take a day to increase 10 degrees. So I'm throwing all of Gemini's math and engineering here out the window. I'm going to try DeepSeek one more time on this final question and see if I can't get an answer, because I got a feeling that I'm going to get a more accurate answer of, the 17 days that I'm looking for. So let's see. While this is thinking, let's see if Gemini even gave us, including it would be drastically reduced. So they're saying 1 day or 1.7 days. So let's put 1.7 just to see just how far off it is. Oh, by 1,000%. So yeah, that's pretty far off. What's kind of crazy here is actually the original GPT 3.5 ended up being the most accurate, where it was only off by 10% of the observed. All the other ones are getting further and further off. I think what's happening is they're getting a little too deep in the weeds of it. And we're not getting an answer on DeepSeek today, so maybe we'll hold off for another episode on that. But hey, complex engineering problems with different LLMs. And, you can't always trust the answers you get from one or the other. But, what I really take away from this video is the ability of DeepSeek to reason and go through assumptions and to thought process. And it's fun to see it kind of laid out there. So all in all, pretty impressed. Again, we are the Creative AI Show. I'm Bryon, and I join with Rosh. Every Monday, we talk all things AI for the creatives. So if you like this content on the YouTube page, stop by and check that out too. Thank you.